Thank you so much for joining the Dr. Whisperer podcast show. I am your host, Sharon Feckety, and you are here to listen to others talk about the business of medicine. Don't forget to subscribe, share it with somebody else that is in the business of medicine so we can all learn together. Thank you for being here and enjoy the show. Well, hello. I always love to start the show with a little laughter. I was laughing with our upcoming guest here today. Linda Mullins is here. And if you listen to the Broken Road to Mental Health, you might have heard her on the show, but I have her back today because we're going to talk all about healing the healer. And before I bring Linda on, just so you know, she's just been doing this for a long time. Okay. And one of my favorite things is to hear about people doing innovative experiences for not just healers, but for people that want to reset and retreat and get centered. So welcome to the show, Linda.
Hi, thanks so much, Sharon. It's so great to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you. So I do know that you have something coming up here in Tampa Bay and Pinellas County in the very near future. Why don't we start there? You're going to be healing some healers. So let's talk about it.
That's right. Yeah. So we've got a team of healers dedicated specifically to our clients. And this coming week is dedicated to healing the healers. So we know more than as much as you guys and girls out there that the healers take the brunt of it. Any frontline workers and everybody's just pouring into other people. And then our well is kind of empty. So we know that there's a renewal needed. And that's why we've dedicated one day or multi-days to healing the healers.
So why don't we talk a little bit about what it looks like for just say the one day. Now, I know that you have one coming up right here at one of my favorite hotels, actually. It's a newer hotel in Treasure Island, and it's part of the Opal Collection. So any of you that are listening or watching from Tampa Bay know the Opal Collection, or maybe you don't know, is the Sand Pearl and the Opal. And also it's the Treasure Island Beach Resort. Is that what it's called?
That's exactly right. Yeah. Yeah, it's their newer version of the Opal Collection. Everybody's calling things collections now, right? But what I love about it is if the guests decide to stay overnight versus just doing a one day, then they stay in a beautiful suite that looks at the ocean, which we could all use. That's actually, I think the ocean is part of our healing practitioners, right? They're on the list of the practitioners because we all know, everybody on the call likely knows how beneficial the ocean and the ions and the healing properties that they have. And honestly, I've lived in Clearwater or near the beach for a long time, just prior to now. And I just didn't always make time to go out there, and it was right across the street. Isn't that silly?
It's silly. And I do the same. So I get it.
I know. So we've got integrative health professionals. So we've got doctors that are naturopaths and integrative medicine, functional medicine. But for the one day, if you choose a one-day healing retreat, we believe in the immersive experience. So you're going to have an immersive experience, meaning you're going to have some breath work that is not just your typical mat class breath work. It is breathwork instruction that changes the way in which we breathe. In fact, I was with this instructor yesterday virtually, and she brings a whole different level, medically informed, dentally informed about the breathwork and how most of us are doing it wrong. So you'll have a really incredible deep session there that taps into the vagus, I'm like pointing, the vagus nerve, which gets to our emotions. We don't want to make you cry. It's not about that, but it taps into the deep recesses, and it's not woo-woo. It's really just scientific and super healing, but it also gives you kind of a tool to take home. You're going to have an individual session with an energy practitioner counselor. Again, very science-based, quantum physics-based. But what happens if you've not already received this kind of counseling, in addition to CBT type of counseling, there's an integrative approach that gets directly to the trauma and the triggers of trauma. And so one session can actually make a difference And you'll see from our client reviews that most clients say our retreats are transformative. And they're specifically because these two components, the breath work and the mental health counseling in this particular modality. A lot of practitioners out there may do additional things from CBT, may do EMDR, may do brain spotting, which one of my primary practitioners also does. And we're all about getting to the root cause. We don't believe in drive-by wellness, but the reality is one day can make a difference. You'll have a little fitness, you'll have some breath work, you'll have a session with the integrative practitioner, and you'll do a group session specifically about burnout and tackling all the effects of burnout and the pre-sessions of burnout, meaning the precursory things that lead to burnout. I have to tell you guys on the phone that on this call that there's probably all in depth about burnout.
Well, it turns out that I am doing myself a whole series next week for burnout to balance is the topic that I'm speaking on. And then in March, I'll be speaking directly to some healers about healing the healer. So this is very parallel to what I have in my sphere right now. And I know that this show is all about the business of medicine. But when I meet with a client, one of the many questions that I ask when I am getting to know whoever is the healer and just trying to do better in business, do better in life, I always want to know what they're doing for their personal development. So even though you mentioned that the retreat is one day, this isn't drive-through wellness. Drive-through wellness is actually better than none.
Yeah, that's right.
Because I do think when we are talking about burnout and we are talking about healing the healer, if you can't get something for yourself to provide to others, your well will be dry and things come out quite backwards. And that ultimately will affect the entire business, the entire team, how you show up for work, how you show up for your patients, and understanding how important it is to do breath work. And one of my doctors actually in New York City just had a session on breath work. And I encourage it for all of my healers, because I think whatever we're doing to work on ourselves is ultimately going to reflect back in our business. So to me, it is the most important thing to do. It's to heal yourself before you start healing others. So what kind of discussion is happening after? I remember you were explaining to me about how a group got together and it was a little cold, it was a little corporate, and then by the end it was, like singing by the campfire.
That's right. That's right. Well, it's interesting when we gather groups together. Now, some groups come as their own tribe, right? Like corporate retreat. And we have a lot of executives, but we also they'll send the executive team. And that's what I was referring to the other day in our conversation was, they come, they're a close team of executives because they're running a company together, yet they're completely wiped out, right? Especially a couple of them, like you said, it's really impacting their work, which rolls down to the company. It's got a cascade effect, right?
Yeah.
So the owner and the CEO of this organization had the foresight to bring them together, and they come stiff, they're exhausted, and they do the smile of the pictures that we do, and then at the end, it was only a couple of days later, after these sessions we were just referring to, they're hugging and laughing and Oprah moments by the fire pit. And, we have kind of constructive conversations around it and asking them to kind of lead into what they had perceived. But it was really beautiful. And that's what we love. And when we bring together people that aren't with the same company, but a group of people, and we ensure that, we've got, we're kind of connected on the same wavelength, if you will, because those sessions will also do that, right? The previous sessions, there's more healing that's already taken place first half of the day. And then by the end of the day, everybody's a bit looser. They've hung out by the pool or the beach a little bit. Your umbrella and your chair comes with that day, by the way. We don't do like most of us are accustomed to in medical conferences or learning or SMEs or what's the word I want?
CEUs. Yep.
CEUs. You know, we just go back to back to back. We do a 12-hour drill, and then the next day we do the same thing. This isn't like that. This is designed to unplug you. So we're not going to make your 7 or 8 hours back to back. You're going to have breakfast. You're going to have lunch. You're going to have an hour or so for the beach time. And then we end a little bit before sunset so that you can actually honor yourself first and take that time you need, because we all need it. Can I tell you, my first clients ever in this business in 2008, my first clients ever in all my advertising. Do you know how they found me? They found me on Craigslist. Do you remember Craigslist?
I do.
Had an advertising component. Two nurses from Chicago, and they came as a pair, and they stayed a month. Now that's a retreat, right? That's not drive-by at all. But this immersive experience for a day can make a difference and will make a difference. You just got to come ready, and we'll nourish you.
Yeah. Are you tired of the one-on-one grind? You want to break free from the brick and mortar practice and work from anywhere? Ready to impact more lives, work less, all while making more money? Sound too good to be true? It's not. You can actually learn how to do all of this and more at the first annual In This Together live event that's happening in Orlando, Florida on February 20th to the 22nd, 2023. Join your host, Dr. Kylie Burton, and other world-class speakers for an event unlike any other you've attended. And it's for practitioners only. These tickets will sell out, so grab yours quickly. We will provide the link to this event in the show notes. Click. Are you still running your medical practice like it's 1990? Well, what about Riva Global Medical Virtual Assistants? A medical virtual assistant, I promise you, is the way to run your medical practice today. Why? Because you can save, thousands of dollars. No more paying for health insurance, no more worrying about office space. You also have trained professionals. These wonderful human beings get trained, and they have a client service manager that makes sure that your VA that you're working with for your practice is hitting all the goals that you need to make sure that your practice is run efficiently and friendly. Check out Riva Global Medical Virtual Assistants today. Well, while you were talking, it's funny that you mentioned those nurses. I was thinking about the staff inside of a medical practice. You know, it's not just the physician, it's the nurse, it's the medical assistant, it's the biller, it's the front office staff, it's the practice manager. And a lot of, because I once was a practice manager, I ran an office for a long time, and being director of operations, overseeing, it was like overseeing a ton of stress. Well, now here we are in 2023. Think about all of the burnout that took place through this pandemic, and how much really people owe it to themselves to do this for themselves. Yeah. It's almost like we're funny as humans, right? We'll go through all these traumas and horrible things, and then we're like back to life, and it's like, oh yeah, look at what I just went through.
Right. And what's interesting about that is, and don't get me wrong, I am a spa vacation girl.
Me too.
I do it all over the world, and I love it. Right. And vacation, right? Mm-hmm. I love, in fact, I'm a spa connoisseur. I've got my favorite Ritzes. I've got my favorite islands for different things. But here's the thing. We'll go, it's not a blowing ever. I work to travel, yeah. but to go blow or spend or invest 5, 10, 15 grand on a vacation, yet to not take a minute or two to unplug, or a day or two to unplug and spend whatever it works out to be, a couple of grand just for that. Right. I mean, it's stunning what we'll do, because thinking that vacation, and I belong to a group that's travel that heals, right? It does heal. And there's a little more acute care you could probably use, so that you're then prepared to enjoy that longer vacation and respite time and the things that bring you joy. Because when you're so wiped out, not everything may bring you as much joy.
Yeah. And there's certainly been a lot of difficult times in the healthcare industry. over the last few years. And my goodness, we're at a place where it's hard to even encourage, students to go into primary care because they've seen what has now happened in the pandemic. And it's made everybody kind of rethink how they're going to live life. So, and I said this to you before, as a practice manager, it was always the worst part about my job, which is going to sound a little funny, is that is organizing the Christmas party. Because nobody wanted to come. Actually, they wanted to be home with their family. They wanted to rejuvenate themselves. They wanted to be away. They wanted whatever it is that they wanted to do. They didn't want to be with us. So I'm also thinking that if you are serious about the business of medicine and you want your team to be appreciative of, the work that they do, you should consider doing something like this for your team versus throwing axes at a bar. Right? Like, what is that? Like, we're going to drink and we're going to throw axes for team building?
Yes, I know, it's a thing, right? I was so shocked the other year when I learned that. I'm like, what? And I said, by the way, axes and alcohol really shouldn't go together. But I played it and I had a blast. But I agree, sending them to Vegas. And I'm dealing with, or I'm working with a lovely client whose team is virtual all over the nation. And they're awesome. And we're doing luxury cabins in the woods in Oklahoma. And so they're all luxury cabins. Everybody's, of course, got their own space. But, there's going to be alcohol involved. And I'm like, no, not that we want to, it's not like a dry retreat for 4 days, but I want to encourage the well-being thing. They choose our company because we have wellness and well-being infused. And so a lot of people with markers are coming to the retreat. And my encouragement and my hope and expectation is that they take away the well-being things and use it as a kickstart. But the corporate retreats, by the way, my most recent client that should be coming on board here in the next few days is a rehab facility here in Dallas. And they're sending the team because they need, right? Imagine how tapped out, just like everybody else on this show, potentially, how tapped out they can be if they're not for sure. Right? So we're going to healing the healers. I mean, because that's it. And a healer can certainly be, our primary medical physicians, counselors, nurses. I mean, everybody that we're talking to right now. And the other side, as we know, is caretakers, right? Somebody who's caring for a dying parent, or has a special needs kid, or has somebody with type 1 diabetes. That's a little child, so it really encompasses a lot of people. I love that. We love doing it because there's this aha moment, even from the healers in the room, especially from that. There's this aha moment that we're like, wow, imagine when I actually do this, I feel refreshed.
I am so happy to hear that is happening, because I can't wait to get my hands on all these therapists and find out what they're doing for themselves, because there's never been a busier time in the mental health industry, in addiction with opioids. And you could barely get an appointment to see a therapist, very difficult to get in to see your doctor. There's just been an overwhelming, first responders they're all coming to mind right now, what everybody has been through. And I do feel it's like everybody just they keep showing up. They keep showing up through the tough time. It's a very typical trauma response. And now things are starting to settle in. Life is getting back to normal a little bit, yet everybody still feels the after effects. So why not encourage your team to get some real respite, to get some real healing, instead of just, because you and I both love a good spa, girl.
That's right. And then you just tack that on, right? Just tack that on.
Right. Nobody loves a massage more than me.
That's right.
Especially at the beach. But I'll tell you what, there's something to be said about having healers healing you.
So good. So true, Sharon. And you know what's interesting? Dr. Braun, one of my practitioners, I have about 19 practitioners that live around the nation. Dr. Braun, who will be the healer healing the healers next week. She is one of the most congruent and aligned people that I know with her, what she speaks, her values, her lifestyle, and what she does. Her actions are aligned with her ideas and goals. And she literally, because imagine everybody on this call, we absorb so much, especially talk about the mental health and the psychiatric caretakers here, and the docs too, right? Nurses and docs, everybody. But we absorb so much negative energy, garbage, right? All this, the weight of the emotions, the weight of the mental illness, the weight of the trauma. She absorbs so much. She literally has rituals and, good rituals, good habits that she does every single day to offload those. And she ensures that she takes her own respite time every 6 weeks. I can tell you, this woman has a toolbox of self-care is so overused, right? But has a toolbox of life affirming, energy increasing, frequency increasing habits that keep her well and whole and able to absorb all those energies and dysfunctions from all of some of the deeper clients she sees, right? Not everybody's got that stuff, but she absorbs it all regardless of what you got, right?
Yeah, no, it's so important. I call it my mental health workout. I don't call it the self-care or all that stuff. I don't like buzzwords in general, but I don't care what anybody calls it, as long as you're doing something. And there is nothing better than somebody that is talking the talk and then walking the walk as well, because there's no way you can help anybody else unless you are helping yourself.
Truth.
That message could not be stronger in the medical industry. They're helping way too many people and not getting their own help. So I love what you're doing. All of the information about the upcoming retreats will be in the show notes. You can go to one spot to learn more about it and then to register as well. But you know what? It's February 2023. Start thinking about your Christmas bonus this year to look a little different. It doesn't, and you don't have to wait till Christmas. We got Valentine's Day coming up. If you want to give a gift of love, give a gift of healing for your team this year, let's be better.
So good. And, I'm assuming they know this, but they may not. We take the whole concierge team, the whole team, or as much of the team as you want. We take the whole team to an offsite somewhere, right? That's our whole deal. We're a traveling team of concierge wellness practitioners. So we'll take it to the corporate office. We'll take it to a park. We love nature. We just don't want to be in a boardroom, right? We'll take it somewhere that's healing, and the whole team has an immersive experience. Your team has an immersive experience. So I think that's a great shameless plug. Thanks, Sharon. But it's true. Immersion works, right? And then we have the carry on after, virtually or in person if you need.
Yeah, it's what I want. So don't go giving me any chocolates or flowers. Send me to some healing, because that's the gift that I try to give myself to others. An opportunity to reset, set your intentions. And it's something that we all have to do continuously, especially considering what we've all been through as a globe. So I appreciate all that you do, Linda.
Oh, same here. Thank you. Thanks for having this platform and speaking the language and speaking directly to the people who take care of everybody. It's so critical.
I love them. I would do anything for them. We need them. Thanks.
Yes,
Linda.
we do. Thank God. And thanks to all of you out there doing all the work.
Yeah. So go ahead and bask in some glory and get some healing. Thanks, Linda.
That's right.
Don't forget to grab your tickets to the first annual In This Together live event in Orlando, Florida, happening on February 20th to the 22nd, 2023, with your host, Dr. Kylie Burton. Grab your tickets now, link in show notes. So if you want to party like it's 1999, but run your medical practice like it's 2022, don't forget to check out Riva Global Medical Virtual Assistants.